Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the archived version of the developer commentary run of Mirror's Edge Catalyst that we did as a live stream. This run was done as part of a charity marathon benefiting the Prevent Cancer Foundation. It is presented without ads, and instead I would like to ask that if you enjoyed this content, please consider donating $1 or $2. You can find links that on the video and in the description. Enjoy! So what happened after we shipped the game was that one of our testers found a bug where you can go down onto the tracks and then you're stuck there. So basically you can go back here and you can jump down onto the tracks. And so we need some way to fix that, and you could go quite far out but then you drop through the tracks. And I figured it was fun to just have you get, instead of just having a death area there, I wanted to actually have you die properly. So we put in trains that came and actually ran you over. So that was the first step, and then, but you can still dodge the trains by jumping back and forth between the tracks. So we actually put in a rat that comes in and runs you over and covers both of the tracks. So if you want to see the giant rat, you have to do some train dodging out onto the rails here. But I'm not going to do it now because we're already a bit late and, yeah, not at the top of my ability.
It doesn't work like that, ignorant. The virus will corrupt the carrier signal, which will disable the nanites, but they will still remain inside you.
It's chilly up here.
That's due to the change in air density. I just looked it up. Oxygen content will go down as well, but that's on a serious problem below 18,000 feet. And you won't go that high.
Wait, what?
What if they shut down the reflection carrier signal before I get there?
From what we can see, they still expect the building to remain intact. Some have evacuated, but many remain.
That's stupid.
Oh, we might be wrong, Plastic.
Not a chance. I've done the calculations twice.
Two pipe-hole.
Plastic, have you
No, that would essentially skip the entire level, which I don't think people would appreciate because there's nothing to talk about then. I still have no idea how that actually works, what actually causes it. There's a lot of
You should be able to ride what the blades are.
changes that went into the section after the first release, actually. So if you install the game and play it unpatched, like if you install it offline, you actually get a bunch of stuff here that's pretty broken and pretty wrong.
I've reached the top.
Sometimes they do kind of seek out an animation to fall over the railing, so sometimes when you do that, it kind of looks like they're trying to fall over.
There. Hurry. Their firewalls are a joke. My sister could hack through them, and she's even more stupid than Kuma. Damn it.
What?
I lost the float. Most of the fallen debris. This factory is not stable phase. I'm dropping where you are, babe. You might not. Going.
And here's the troll one. You have to actually wait for that one to come by. I think there's supposed to be a timing where you can do it really, really quickly. So yeah, okay. It's not actually that difficult, you just have to look around and go towards the next section. One of the last things I did on the project after after we shipped was to finish up some of the stuff on the shard. there was a lot of problems here, and you'll get to that section pretty soon. But yeah, these parts are really nice. They're not much challenge, but they work really well for effects for the kind of stuff that we're showing off. It's so different from the rest of the game.
The rest of the city could use a bit more of this.
Use the vent at the top. We'll lose contact for a bit again. This shield.
All right. Oh, come on. Well, that works. So pipe hole, people are mentioning, if you're not a speedrunner, you probably don't know what it is. It's an interesting glitch in the section where basically I still don't know what happens. Still don't know what causes it. But you basically have you get stuck on, wow, stressed out. You get stuck on a pole, essentially. You get like you're climbing a pole that isn't there. And I don't know what really puts you into that state. But that's the whole glitch, basically. No, what that lets you do is basically climb all the way up on that invisible imaginary pole, and then that in turn means that you basically skip the entire level, because you can just then basically jump off and be on the end platform. Not really. It's still $2 per death. No getting out of it. Where am I? Okay, same place. Too early. Or too late. Yeah, I know it's not this pole, but people were talking about that, so I figured I'd mention it. Finally. So,
Serious wreckage here.
a new donation from Summon Ender Dragon for $100, and the message is simply Fika. Thank you very, very much. Very much appreciated. And let's see, we have some more. I scrolled off my screen. No fancy donate overlays. No, I ran out of time. Donation from Czar, who's going to be joining us in a bit for 7 days today. Never lost anyone close to me to cancer, but it's a cause worth fighting for. Keep gaming, friends. And a donation from Jokio. Said Foxy fan donation. Thank you very much. I'm sorry we're not quite up in time for that segment yet. So this section, I believe, is the one that people were talking about earlier. There's a lot of stuff to comment on here, let's just say. First of all, you are traversing an incredibly long stretch, and for the most part, you don't really know what you're doing or where you're going. So, like, all of this stuff is just, you just keep going randomly forward until something says bleep, and then you get a pull-up. That's how a lot of this works. There's also a point after we shipped that I basically had a bit of a yelling at our QA department because they had entirely missed a whole number of situations where you could fall down some platforms, and you would get stuck. You wouldn't know that you were stuck, but you would get stuck. So here I believe you have to turn around. So after we shipped in one of the patches, we added in a whole lot of more mag ropes and pull-ups and stuff, and ways to get back on track if that happened to you. Let's turn. A lot of this stuff is like turn around and then do it again, which is, it's not great in terms of game design or level design. I had a thing or two to say about this whole setup, but you know, in defense of the level designer who made it, it was also like, here, traverse an incredibly long stretch. Whoops. Like, I believe that's one of the ones that you weren't supposed to do. Yeah. One more donation from Pabst, who says, greetings to Danny on PC. Whoop. Here we go. Was it ever considered shrinking the shard to make it more manageable? The shard was shrunk. This is the shrunk version. So the one you see in the backdrop is it's a lot bigger. So yeah, that section 2, it was really weirdly scripted, so things would break by themselves, but now it's actually time-based, so the longer you stay on one of those glass panes, the more likely it is to break. So that was also patched in. So now if you like jump ahead, it will actually not break behind you. Now, let's see. Right, you're supposed to go here. And then we go sideways.
Wants you to be careful, Faith.
Hey, you guys. Whoa. There's a huge hole in the wall here.
The explosion tore off one of the rotor plates. Fight the mags and keep going. You're getting close, Faith. Plastic is trying to open the elevator doors for you, but see if you can find another route in the meantime.
Huh. This moment is pretty funny. You can definitely see the influence here. It's kind of the the stormtrooper moment from Star Wars. The interesting thing is this timer wasn't actually properly a timer first, so unless you actually run back, the elevator doors never opened, which is a little bit of a problem. So that was also patched up.
made it.
Yes. Kuma's cheering you.
But it is also entirely doable to just get rid of all of those enemies. It's not that difficult if you know your way around the combat system and you have a bunch of the upgrades.
You should know that I too am tracking your progress with great interest. And let me throw in another arm for you. Destroy reflection, and I will give you the drawing. And then can't play your day.
Again, turn back around, which is like... it's a little bit poor level design. You don't really want to have the player have to turn around and in order to keep moving forwards.
Still no signs of general evacuation.
What about Kruger?
We're not even sure he's in the building. Could be he evacuated just in case.
I've reached the top. What a view up here.
That's it, I give in. You are the better runner, Faye.
I haven't seen any of this in ages. No, if you speedrun the game, you probably skip all of this all the time.
Release that drive and the virus will do the rest.
As I suspected. What do you hope to accomplish here?
I'm giving people the right to decide things for themselves.
Oh, Faith, hasn't it ever occurred to you that people might want reflection?
They just want the pretty lie you're giving them, not the ugly truth.
Oh, yes, the truth is always ugly, isn't it? As you should know. It's your mother's work that you intend to wreck, after all.
She never wanted this. You perverted everything she ever stood for.
What do you know of her reasons? You were a child. You're still a child. Wantingly destroying everything around you. I promised your sister that I would capture you alive. Submit and you won't be harmed.
Never.
It's interesting because he closes like the shutters in that scene. There's actually quite a lot of special logic, and the whole room is duplicated once to have a completely different set of lighting, and there's lots of stuff that goes on in this one scene just to accommodate for that lighting switch. I'm sorry for annoying all of you. Once you do it, that's one thing I can mention about the glitch. Once you do know how to do it, what to do, where are they? It is easy to pull it off. It's not. There's no hard moves required. How long did it take to develop this game? It was a long time in the making. I don't know exactly because I wasn't on it the entire time. But it was a very long cycle, and it was a smaller team at first and then grew bigger, of course. Need some shield. I think it's just simpler to duplicate the room and redo the lighting. Yeah, that's essentially what happened, but in the actual shipped game, what you end up with is two different versions of the room. It's far too long. Been far too long before since I last played this. Did these last few sequences change much during development?
Damn. I should have had you.
I wouldn't say that this fight changed a bit. There was
Control ends here.
Reflection is not about
at
control.
one point there was 2
It's about
sentinels and a whole bunch of other stuff in there.
It's time you all withered and died.
So the combat itself changed a bit, but the cutscenes were locked for a long time.
By destroying Reflection, you're dooming your dear sister as well.
I'm setting her free.
Hardly. Isabel has a chronic lung
I
condition.
don't know if you answered because my screen lagged. I know a lot of people got disappointed about that last final battle.
Am I? Am I lying?
I think there's a lot of stuff in this final sequence that is shown instead of played, which I don't think is good.
Never occurred to you.
I think a lot
Maybe
of
you're the one to blame.
the best games where produce the most memorable
Killed my friend.
battles and endings and stuff is where you actually play it.
What the hell are you waiting for? Stop that thing and kill her!
Cat.
And this whole chase sequence where you chase Cat, and you kind of, it's hard to see her because she disappears so quickly, and there's a lot of stuff to it, and then you just randomly jump onto this thing because there's a marker there. So yeah, I mean, I understand that people were underwhelmed by the end sequence. And I think there's a lot of good stuff in here too, but there's also like the amount of player input required for this is minimal, and it's all just basically random stuff going on. So I would have loved to have a more interactive end sequence with more stuff. That said, I think these sequences are awesome, but the fact that you never get to fight Cat, and the fact that you never do any of this fighting that's going on in these scenes is a disappointment for sure.
Stop it, Cat. My name is Isabel. Your name is Caitlin Connors. You're the daughter of Erica and Martin. And my sister. I have no sister. You left me! Cat! He said you died in the riots.
Should have added a bunch of quick time events.
I cried.
No thanks.
And then I convinced myself that you never existed. It was the only way.
And let me just say, like, to all of the discussion, I am not a speedrunner. You guys are better at this game than I will ever be. It also doesn't help that I haven't played in months, and I'm getting decently tired. So I am decent at the game, I would say. Not quite the way you would see it in this run. But I'm also far from as good as you are.
Don't understand. I have to.
How did Faith get back to the ground, though? There's no VTOL in Horizon. I mean, she climbed up this far. She could have climbed back down. The fact that half of the place is completely broken up hasn't stopped her this far, so you never know.
And that's how it all went down. I wish I could say everything changed. That the employees rose up in disgust over reflection and overthrew the conglomerate. But there was no mass uprising.
So that's the end of the game. That's
No riots in the streets.
we're going to look at this cutscene if you haven't seen it. This is the that's a 2 scene that somebody was asking about. You do see her getting it.
Or almost. Because something had changed. We'd started.
If somebody here, or if you guys in chat could please inform me of what I owe the Prevent Cancer Foundation from this party, that would be swell. We are not going to look through the entire development team credits, but I will point out that this page has me and Erik, and I think one of the coming 2 pages or something has Linnea on it. If you want to find our names, we're on here. Just talked to somebody the other day who'd struggled to find my name. It's right at the bottom of the first page. $112 green papers. Well done, me. Thank you very much for that count. The eye tattoo, but that's been there the entire game. Alright, we'll skip past that and to the last scene of the game, and then we're gonna go for a quick break and move on. I'm gonna try to keep it as quick as possible. We are running about half an hour late.
Well, I have to go.
We started maybe 20 minutes late, so we're getting later.
Out of Kruger's sec. Interesting. Plastic made a breakthrough with Kuma. I'm off.
I am sure glad to be rid of that crap. That's one I owe you forever, Faith. So, what are you gonna do next?
I'm gonna run.
And that's the end of the game. So, many thanks for joining in. Special thanks to Erik and Linnea, of course. And thank you everybody for donating, for watching. Let me know when you figure the glitch out. You'll figure it out very soon, I'm sure.